Libya is a medium-sized country of about 7.025 million residents, located in North Africa and lies almost entirely in the Sahara Desert. Most of the population is located along the coast, and the coastline runs 1770 kilometers. Libya is rich in diversity, and its culture involves roots in Berber, African, Turkish, and Arab descents. Libya was also an Italian colony for about 3 decades, which had a great impact on the culture there. The primary religion in Libya is Islam. Residents of Libya make an average of $499 in US dollars. The climate is dominated by the hot Sahara, and Libya has no rivers, but there is access to the Mediterranean Sea, groundwater. Currently, 97% of the water used is accessed via groundwater. There are currently 21 desalination plants operated by different authorities, but they are all owned by the government, but the government has not adopted it as a strategic option for water. Treated wastewater is another water resource, but it is designed for agricultural use only. Water stress levels in Libya have increased over time due to both population growth and rapid urbanization. Domestic water is supplied to Libya's cities by 3 institutions, namely the Man-Made River Project Execution and Management Authority, the General Desalination Company, and the General Company of Water and Wastewater. Extensive use of conventional water resources like groundwater, poor awareness of how to optimally use and save water, and seawater intrusion into the coastal water aquifers all contributed to a severe water crisis in Libya. Libya has been more focused on short-term solutions such as digging surface wells for domestic use and the overexploitation of fossil aquifers by the government.
We decided to focus on a typical 4-person family located in Zawiat El Erkab, Libya. This is a small rural town located about 3.5 miles from the Mediterranean Sea. This is also about 18 miles from El Beida, which is a large industrial and commercial city with about 250,000 people. Most of the population of Libya is located near the coast, so they're able to have access to the sea. This provided us the opportunity to use the sea as a water source and attempt a desalination technique that will be discussed later in the video. It is believed that this family of 4 is educated or in the process of their education due to the free and compulsory education provided by the government up until 9th grade. Libya is profoundly a patriarchal society, so this family will most likely have the husband work all day to earn money while the wives stay home to take care of the children in the house. Ever since COVID-19, this societal structure has been amplified because the schools are closed and the wives need to take care of the children and help them learn basic education since they cannot do it the traditional way in a classroom. Lastly, the average income in Libya is $499.45, but let's just round up to $500 a month or $6,000 a year, whatever way you'd like to think about it. So it is safe to assume this family would be close to this amount. So when we're thinking about ideas for our solution, we had to take into consideration this amount of capital that could be spent on a water device. We have decided that it is important to consider the resources this family has access to and have the ability to get in their possession for 0 to low cost.
After researching which options could be affordable, practical, and simple, we decided that an at-home desalination process was the best solution. Desalination is essentially a process which takes the salt out of salt water and purifies that water. Desalination can involve many different types of processes which remove the salts from the water. Some involve pushing salt water through small holes which only allow water to pass through rather than salt. Others involve some form of evaporation or energy from the sun. In our case, an at-home solution involves using energy from the sun to help evaporate the water and leave the salt behind, which we will explain more soon. This process only requires 2 containers, a plastic wrap, a rubber band, and a small weight, such as a tennis ball, eraser, rock, or other weight. In this sense, it is an easy-to-make, affordable, at-home solution to the Libyan water crisis. Now we will discuss why we chose this process and why we believe it is the best solution. The area we are focusing on in Libya is on the Mediterranean coast. We decided to do desalination as most cities are near the coast and thereby have access to large amounts of seawater. This is another reason why we believe desalination is the best solution, as they are surrounded by so much water that can be turned into fresh water through the use of this process. In addition, as we stated before, this is a quite simple, practical, and affordable solution that takes advantage of readily available materials in Libya. In this process, the water from the salt water evaporates and recondenses in the smaller container inside the bowl, leaving the salt behind in the larger container. While this process takes a couple of days, it is one of the only ways to utilize the salt water that surrounds the Libyan coast.
This is a demonstration of our at-home desalination technique. For this prototype, I used a bowl, a plastic wrap, an orange, a plastic cup, and a rubber band. The total cost is about $5, and all of these materials can be easily found. It's also worth mentioning that this entire setup is reusable, meaning that there is only a one-time fixed cost. The locals can also use cheaper alternatives to lower the cost, and the final cost depends on the materials used. Step 1, I added water into the bigger container and I put the smaller container on top of the water. In order to show that this technique works regardless of the water source, I added some dirt, mud, and salt into the water. We will demonstrate that it's still possible to extract clean water out of it. Step 2, I covered the bowl with a plastic wrap and I tightly sealed the wrap with a rubber band. I also put an orange directly on top of where the smaller container is. This will ensure that water droplets can naturally flow into the smaller container due to gravity. After 3 days, we can see some tiny water droplets sticking to the surface of the plastic wrap. After 4 days, the water droplets have become much bigger and denser. After 5 days, the water droplets have covered the surface of the plastic wrap. And you can't really see in the picture, but the smaller plastic cup has also collected some water. This prototype turned out to be pretty successful. I was able to get approximately 10 milliliter of fresh water out of 200 milliliter, which is not a lot, but considering this took place in Ann Arbor, I would expect the process to be much more efficient in Libya due to the warm weather. This setup is also scalable, so locals can use larger containers to achieve even better results.
In order to introduce this technology to the community, we will be using the nomination strategy. This strategy picks a node in a network at random, and then teaches the behavior to one of the node's friends. We will choose a female in the family at random and then introduce the behavior to one of her friends. In this way, a behavior cascade will begin and spread the behavior throughout the entire village. This is called the friendship paradox. An example of this strategy working was in a study done by the Yale Human Nature Lab. In this case, maternal and child health intervention health strategies were introduced to villages in the rural Honduras. Targeting nominated friends using the friendship paradox increased population-level adoption of a nutritional intervention by 12.2% compared to control populations. A similar strategy can be used to introduce the water purification method to local families. All in all, we hope that this will be a successful solution for the average Libyan family to gain access to clean water. Due to the population density along the coast, we believe that this will be beneficial to most families in Libya. Additionally, due to the affordability of the products, it will be easy for them to access and create the mechanism that we have created for this video. Thank you for watching.